Right.
All right. So it's been a while since we've done one of these things. If you guys don't know, this is Carter. He's my roommate.
What's up, guys?
We've been roommates or just friends since like 2013, something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, when I started doing this stuff, we did podcasts before, and we recently got a request from old friends to do it again. So with me throwing out more content, this kind of just made more sense. It's just something that we'll throw in occasionally to mix up the content. But we did something, or we watched something last night that I kind of want to get a reaction on. It's kind of all over the internet with memes and stuff. But yeah, I that's kind of why we want to talk about this. I guess first of all, what are you drinking?
1738, which you got me for my birthday. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that. It's just straight cognac. It's good. What about you?
I'm doing a whistle pig. So one of my managers got me on this, but yeah, it's pretty solid. It's sweet. It's nice. Okay, so for the fights, I tried to look this up. It was promoted by Triller. I don't know who the promoter was, but before we get into the fights, I do want to say that whoever planned this actually did a good job.
I think they did a good job too. Well, first, even before we talk about like the production, I think like overall reaction. What did you think? Like versus what you expected versus what you got. What was your overall reaction?
So I think I come from a little bit different place than you, where you see like a lot of professional fights, like a lot of stuff like that that's produced, right? So like I've been seeing these like YouTube like fights.
Oh, okay.
So like I've seen. Like to me, I kind of had apprehension. Yeah, like I wasn't gonna expect a lot because it wasn't like an official WBC, UFC, one of those kind of productions with like a big name behind it. And like, you know, between the KSI fights and the other Paul fights that were like coming up, they were just not well commentated. They didn't have great production value. It was just very thrown together.
Yeah.
Like even though like it did numbers, and they had great engagement. Like DAZN didn't do the KSI Paul fight that well, to me at least. It was just very like one-sided, and it just looked like a bunch of bros put it together last minute. So my expectation for this one was that it's just slightly better, but I didn't expect. I was very surprised.
To be as good as it. So we had different expectations coming in, but just from you had the experience with like internet type of fights, and me expecting just whatever UFC regular boxing matches. But now obviously these are more entertainment based. So we were expecting different things, but overall I was pleasantly surprised, as it sounds like you were, maybe for different reasons. Overall I thought it was really good. I was thoroughly entertained. I left the fight being happy. Obviously, there's a lot of people left laughing, at least at the Nate Robinson fight. Overall, I really liked it, man. But if we want to get into the production, let's do it.
Yeah. So I think that the thing that I noticed that was really cool is they took. So like I think I was watching Chael Sonnen. He made some good observations of like. They really highlighted the fighters, and they did a good job at highlighting the fighters. And I think a lot of promotions fail at doing that. So, like, one, I don't have like they did this, I think, in Staples Center.
Yep.
Obviously, a huge stadium. They didn't have an audience,
right?
But the way that they did is they closed it all in, added a bunch of lights.
Yep.
They used contrasting shadows and light. So, like, everything was white in the field. It was just focused on the fighters. I don't care about what's going on outside. So it's just super focused.
Yep.
So it's like intimate almost.
Yep.
So I think they did a good job on that. But I think the other thing that I noticed is like, you know how they had like those walk-ins?
Yep.
And like you see that like in the Creed movie, right? They did that shit with the walk-in with like Michael B. Jordan. Mm-hmm. And like in WWE, it's the same thing. They have these crazy walk-ins and stuff like that. Like they don't do that in WBA really like that, or WBC and the UFC as much as I think. I think like in Japan they do that, where there's like a walk away, there's like pyrotechnics, and it's like, this is the fighter, he's dope, like look at him, he's doing a dance and stuff like that. Like in the UFC they just run down this crowded alley, and then people like steal their hats and shit, and they talk. Like I get it, it's like fan interaction, but like I think that's the reason why you don't know these names, is because there's not those memorable entrances.
But in boxing, don't they usually do some sort of walk-in like that?
They do for
or
the
is
big.
it different?
They do it for the big fights, and even that, it's like there's not like that. Like when I say walkway, there's like that, like that WWE like ramp where there's no one on there. It's just that dude.
Yeah.
And then everyone's kind of under him.
Oh, I see.
So like they don't have an audience obviously, but they did the same thing with the walkthrough, which I think is good for highlighting the fighter, letting them express themselves.
So not having like the whole entourage and all that.
Right. It's just that fighter.
Yeah. No, I think that's the first time I noticed that actually. But I think there was a lot of things that for me, we talked about this kind of last night, like it was different from what I had seen as a normal either UFC or a boxing match, meaning like the size of the ring, the way the lights were down low, and I'm sure there was 100 other things like probably that the actual producers knew, like the darkness outside the ring. And I even thought even though like we've been watching UFC, but in UFC you can hear everything, but it sounded like there was an actual crowd there. And I don't know if it was fake noise or if it was just they actually had mics on trainers and different staff that was there, because you could actually feel some sort of excitement. Mm-hmm. So those were just like little things that I noticed. But what I liked about the production was it was different than any of the fights that we've seen, but only slightly. Like you definitely know that it's different, but they didn't try to like go completely different direction with it.
Right. They didn't try to invent the wheel. They just tried to like make it their own.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I respect, because even like the biggest thing I saw was like the size of the ring. Like it's different, but it makes sense for what they're trying to do. Exhibition matches, like I guess it's just different. It gives you something else to think about. Oh, which fighter would do better with a smaller ring? All these different changes. So
like I think that did throw me for a loop. When I first saw that like pop up, I was like, that's a small ring.
When I saw it, yeah.
I was like, is that just so like, Roy can't run away?
Well, he said that.
Yeah.
He said that. He was like, this is the smallest ring, so I gotta like move around. He said something to that, like I gotta move around, like I'm not gonna be able to do too much. But I don't know. I thought maybe they did it just to make it less tiring on people. These are obviously there. I know there was one professional fight, or
there was a couple on the card.
But like for the obviously Tyson and Roy, they're older, and then for the exhibition, like those guys are just new to the game. So
right.
I don't know why they did it, but it didn't have a bad result. Maybe it was to make it more exciting. You got to stand in there. I don't know.
I think this is like, I think Tyson mentioned this, like this is going to reach more people. Right. So like maybe they did that to like appeal to, because with a standard ring, people have more motion. You need to watch a few boxing matches before it's going on, for you to know what's going on in terms of distance and strategy. But like if you're in a smaller cage, those don't have that. So maybe they did that to push the action. So like casuals that were joining because of the Nate Robinson fight, or Nate Robinson Jake Paul fight, would be like, they won't get bored. There's like not all this like feeling each other out sort of stuff.
I think so. And this goes, I guess we're talking about the production, but again, to the bigger picture, like, me, some of your followers and subscribers may have heard me talk a little bit, but I definitely am more traditionalist when it comes to sports. Like I hold sports in a special place, and I want it to be about competition and, the fight against another person or against yourself, all of those type of things. So normally I'm not a fan of stuff like this. But sports are changing, the world is changing, and I think they did a really good job, because a lot of the people that I talked to, like just texting last night on Instagram, whatever, are people that aren't into boxing, like females, like people who are casual fans, but everybody had some sort of reaction, was entertained, and most of them seemed to really like it. So I feel like sports starts from a place of competition, and then it was produced to be entertaining. And this event, I guess, starts from a place of entertainment and focuses it around sports.
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess, like you say, professional wrestling, but with higher stakes,
right.
I suppose. And I just think they hit it.
Yeah.
Because people were watching it and paying for it, and it went viral, of course.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think they did a really good job for accomplishing their goal.
I think they did a good, like they started off with Neo as the national anthem, which was good. But I do think they probably did too many acts, like music acts between them. I get it. Like,
yeah, you didn't like the music.
Yeah,
I kind of tuned out during the music most of the time.
Like it was like having like a halftime show like all the time, and I was just like, and like maybe I'm showing my age here, but like I didn't like the acts. I liked some of the acts.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of YG. We talked
YG
about
was
that.
bad, dude.
That was pretty terrible. I mean, I hate to trash somebody, but I didn't like it. Let's just put it like that. I didn't like it. I like Neo's the national anthem. Was that later on? Did he do the national anthem right before the last fight?
No. Oh, yeah.
I think he did.
Yeah. He did right before.
I think again towards the production, they kind of built the momentum, and maybe they got lucky because it naturally built and they hit it just perfect with
it did get better over
having the Nate fight right before.
Yeah.
Then you were ready for that Tyson fight, but most of the acts I didn't like. I did like he was like a rapper kind of singer dude. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
But I thought he was pretty good. Most of the time I was just texting or whatever while people were singing, and then when Snoop got on stage, like
I think that's where we talk about this a lot. Like he's just picked up this persona and like of being such a good performer. And I think a lot of those acts like YG and everyone else, like they can rap, they can do these things, but they just don't know how to perform it well. Yeah. And maybe they can do it in their vibe. Like this is my concert and I can do this vibe. It works for me.
Right.
But it's like, can you translate that to any event? Like,
right.
Because that shows you like, oh, I'm halftime applicable. I'm an NFL halftime applicable. And that means I can perform.
Right.
I'm not just singing. I'm not just rapping. I'm captivated.
Right. Well, I think the thing about Snoop, and there's several, entertainers who have done this, but Snoop specifically because he started off as a gangster rapper and he's still here, whatever, 20, 30 years later. But the cream rises to the top in terms of everyone would agree that he is an entertainer. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter if he raps. He's got, like, podcasts. He's done shows. He's done movies.
He's a DJ.
The commentary, the DJ. We went to see him. I've gone to see him like twice DJ, and I thought he was really good. Not that he's the best mixer, but like the energy that he brings, his enthusiasm, and we talked about this, but like for somebody who's traveling 200 days a year, whatever it is, and to show up in a random night in Boston and like really enjoy himself, have a good time, bring that energy. I get the feeling, again, I haven't been to a YG concert, but that it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe you're born with it, or maybe you just commit to this life of a real entertainer, but maybe he has that in his DNA that makes it happen.
I have noticed that, like, I don't know if he's just like infectious in that sense, but Snoop Dogg's the only one that I've seen a venue in Boston significantly bend their opening hours for. Like, that dude was on till like 3 or 4, and that stuff does not stay open here in Boston. I don't like for all y'all that are not here, like from Boston or experience Boston nightlife. It closes down early. It closes at like 1:45, and you don't get a ton of acts. Like, you definitely get more rock acts than you do like hip hop or R&B, but like those venues close like on the dot, like on time, and they get you out there. Like, but when we did the Snoop DJ, is it Snoop DJ, not rapping? It's just him DJing. They stayed open later.
Yeah,
I remember struggling. I was like,
good.
"Yo, I'm gonna stay here," but I'm like, "Yo, it's fucking late."
Yeah. It's good. He just brings it, man. He brings it in everything he does. So, like, again, I guess that goes back to the production. Like, it just got better and better and better. Not that everything was perfect, but it built up, and I thought they delivered.
Okay, so on to the fight that most people were talking about, Nate. And
your boy, Seattle.
I mean, for me, okay, so Nate's always been like he's a Seattle legend in the sense that like he grew up there. He went to UW. He's from Rainier Beach, and he made it successful in the NBA as a small guy coming off the bench, real good. contributor to a lot of things. Like he's done a lot, 3-time, all the sort of accolades, 3-time dunk competition. Like he is a pride of Seattle. He's like, he's talked about this just as much as like Ken Griffey Jr. and all this sort of stuff, just because he has that pedigree of I am a born and bred Seattle kid.
And also, real quick, Nate is my boy too. Like that, from when he was on the Bulls, and I always say like, why is this dude getting passed around from team to team? All he does is get buckets off the bench whenever you need him. He can start too.
Yeah.
So I've always loved him. So I just had to.
Yeah, like I think we all
still love him.
Yeah, we still have praise for him. But like as much as I have praise for him, like, and all these NBA players are sticking up for him, like you just gotta laugh at yourself sometimes. And this is one of those times where he got embarrassed.
Took an L.
Took a huge L.
Took an L
on something that he dusted up. Like that's the hard part. Like if Jake Paul was like, "Yo, I'm gonna box your NBA ass," blah blah blah. Like no, like Nate wanted this smoke.
And I gotta say though, like you called this right. I thought Nate was gonna win. And because you follow the YouTubers and the internet stars more than I do, you actually had real insight into it. So everything that you're saying is right. I didn't know that Nate like called him out or whatever. I don't know the backstory.
Well, I didn't even know that he called him out either. I thought it was just something they agreed upon. But I read about that afterwards. But I think like you were on the fact that like, yo, like these athletes are like once in a lifetime. They're not. Like every day, they're not just there on the street.
Right.
And like he's an exceptional athlete, especially for his size. So his power per square inch is like
and
crazy.
I thought his quickness would be hard to match.
Right. And then I think for me, I was just like, I've seen some of his shadow boxing and his mitt work, and I'm like, I don't see it progressing. But then when I see Jake like posting shit, and I usually just keep a track of that because, like, all the KSI fans kind of like follow that boxing thing, so it comes up in memes or like they post it on the forums and Reddit. But I was like, yo, he looks fast, and he's training with like people. He's like training with like actual boxers and like gyms. Like Vidal Riley's like KSI's trainer, and he's like, yeah, we're in the same freaking money team gym. Like we don't talk that much, but like he's there, and I'm like, the fact that he did that and he got that camp with those people, I was like, oh, this might be bad.
I mean, dude, you were right. I made a big assumption, which was, okay, you got a great athlete, and he's going to take this seriously and train as if he was training for a professional basketball game or whatever the case may be. After all this happened, I saw some of the training, and I was just in shock. Well, first off, let me say, when he first got hit, I was like, clearly, this man has not trained because he seems shocked that it hurt.
He was holding his head for literally a minute. Like, I haven't held my head like that since, like, grade school when I got hit.
Bruh, Nate. Yeah, and I guess we got to, like, people get mad, I guess. Most people aren't mad, but, like, it's all jokes. Thank God he's all right. That was the first thing I was worried about. But
he didn't belong in there.
Look, man, there's different types of sports. And boxing, UFC, football to a certain extent, and certain stuff, you can't play around in there. You cannot play around. Definitely not with boxing.
No, not at all. It's not casual.
And yeah, I have experience wrestling. If you think that you're going to be good at something, just because you're a good athlete, you're big, you're strong, you're fast, whatever, this is what's going to happen.
And I think this is what was, like we talked about, like the difference between the amateurs and the professionals. Like you heard all the time of Roy and Tyson being like, yo, he's a dangerous guy. He could knock me out. I don't know how I've been out of it. He could be like more experienced. But Nate was confident. He was like, I'm going to send a message. I'm going to be like, I'm going to be the martyr that says like, if you don't think you can do anything or you're too small, I'm the guy that'll tell you that, like, you can do it. And then that shit backfired.
Hey, well, I just hope this is a lesson for all athletes or anybody. If you're going to do something, do it. Like, if you want to do something new, do it. Take chances. Do all of that. Talk shit if you want. Do it all. But prepare. Like, and any fighter, I talk about this with wrestling all the time. Like, anybody who, like, people talk about fighting all the time. Like, oh, in the hood, like, we fight, we do this, we do that. But anybody who's really gotten to fights, whether it's grappling sports or they're actually fighting in the streets or whatever, like Tyson and them were saying, you never know when you're going to catch an L. And it could happen at any time. You could be the best. And this could happen in any high-level sports, whatever. Like, you never know when you can take an L. So if you don't have that in the back of your mind, if you're not preparing for that, this is what's going to happen. And you don't... Look, this was different. Like, okay, you lose, you get knocked out. Like, that's one thing. This was an embarrassment. This was... As much as he's a legend, everything that we talked about that he's done, he built a career being 5'8" in the NBA, dunk championships, balling in the games, and now literally for the rest of his life probably,
it's gonna follow him.
This is gonna be what people talk about. Has already within 24 hours. I'm sure this is gonna be bigger than anything he's ever accomplished in terms of like bigger in terms of like attention and media attention and things like that than anything that he's ever accomplished. And he's accomplished more than almost anyone that could even imagine in terms of sports.
Right.
And that's a shame because it didn't have to be that way.
Right. I think he had all the resources. He did the call out. He could have picked the time. Like, this didn't need to be on the Tyson card. Like, there's so many things in his favor. But I was just really surprised that, like, the basics weren't there. A jab, and like not one like his first reaction out of the first, like, let's say the first 30 seconds was a bum rush. And like I recall when I did my first jiu-jitsu competition, that's what I did. It's like I was panicking. I forgot everything.
Maybe he and that's what I was thinking though. Maybe he trained, but he just lost it out the gate because that does happen.
It does. But I just like the thing is, like, if you've been in there enough, like he's used to crowds,
right?
But if he's been sparring enough. Like,
right, then you should know, like, you can't just do that.
Yeah, like, so, like, my first competition, I'd only been training for, like, a month or two. And then I freaked out, and I forgot everything. I wasn't even listening to my coach. My coach was telling me all the right stuff, but I was just so in my own head, I couldn't hear shit. Like, I just heard him snapping my arm off. I didn't actually have my arm snapped off, but I tapped. But, like, dude got me. But I think, like, with jiu-jitsu, I think I realized, like, that's where my ego was. So, like, I worked on that. Like, it was less about, like, how am I going to be perceived? It's like, what am I learning? Like, what are the footwork that I need to do? Like, who cares if I get tapped out by a 16-year-old? Did that. Who cares if I get tapped out by a girl? Did that. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just, like, that's when, like, technique needs to ride. Like, you need to ride on your technique and what you learned and, like, that stuff. But, like, from what we saw there, it just seemed like he'd never been in the Shark Tank at all.
Clearly. I mean, yeah, clearly. I can't imagine he had been in any live action, any hard sparring, any of that, because he acted like someone who had never fought or even been in live action. Like I said, when he got hit, he lunged right at the dude. Then when he got hit, the way he reacted was like, in shock that this actually hurt. And he never raised his hand. I don't even think he put his hands near his face.
There's zero defense.
He didn't move. He did.
I was like, how do you even know that you can make that lunge when you didn't even throw a jab? You didn't throw a jab to, like, see how far you were.
Oh, man.
There was no side by side. It was just straight forward.
And he didn't
plant.
He didn't even try to make Jake throw a punch and, like, feel him out. See if, like, okay, if somebody's trying to throw punches, I can see if I can see him coming, if I'm quicker, what his range is. Obviously, Nate should be quicker. He should be stronger. He's shorter. He could stay on that. Like, there's so many things that he could have done to avoid that fate of what happened. And he didn't do any of them, which tells me my assumption is that he did not take this seriously at all.
I mean, dude, he put videos on YouTube about this is the training I'm doing. And, like, I was down with it for a while until I just not see any sparring. It's just like, are you trying to, like, just do aesthetic training or, like, what's up? Like, because even in the comments, they're like, this is great training to get your cardio up, but, like, is this the intensity you need for this fight? And it's just like, this, like, you can do that forever.
Hey,
but, like,
let this be a lesson again. If you're about to get in a fight, no matter who it is, take it seriously.
Evan Turner, I saw an article that you said that you want to fight Jake Paul. Like, please go to, like, Wild Card or Money Team or something
Take it serious.
Take it serious. Like, it's not like, don't go to your local suburb gym that has like a boxing glove on the logo. Go somewhere that's recognized.
And I think I'll speak for the world. We're not going to make fun of you if you lose, but if you embarrass yourself, you're going to get clowned. Right.
And I think it's the response after, because like, yeah, you're going to get clowned for a little bit and you just need to take that L. Like, that's just going to happen. Like, you lose, you do all that stuff. But I think like was it Logan Paul? He did a good job. He like lost to KSI. It was really embarrassing for like a month or two, but he just like shrugged it off and then he continued doing his same stuff. So that's good. In retrospect, if you look at like, let's say like Deontay Wilder, lost, embarrassing, got wrecked, but then he started making excuses, and then that just got real embarrassing, and now like he can't live that down at all. Like, you just need to know how to lose, and then how, like, what's your next action after that? Are you gonna live and be defined by that L, or are you gonna move on and try to build off of that L?
So, yeah, you're right about that. My question is, should Nate fight again?
I think no.
I thought yes, because to me that's the only way to redeem himself. Meaning, again, not that he has to win, but have a better showing than that. But you said no. My other boy Q said no. He never needs to step in the ring again. And you might be right. You might just need to take your L and go.
I mean, to me, that's like just getting back into the same ego logo, right? Like, he decided that he wanted to go forward, and that he never, like, he got knocked down 3 times, but he still wanted to come out because he wanted to die in his shield and be a man and all that sort of stuff. But that's just your ego. Like, the way that we think about this in jiu-jitsu, just freaking tap so you can train tomorrow.
Right.
Like, who cares? But like, the thing is, like, if you're going back in there strictly to just fix your image, you're already going in for the wrong reason. Because that, you mean you're going in there to repair your ego.
Well, I'm not saying, so I didn't think of it like that, like to fix your image. I mean, maybe, but to me, it's okay to be embarrassed. Like, to me, when I played sports, like, part of the motivation is not getting embarrassed. Or if somebody embarrasses you, to try to get back and like improve yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
but football was your sport,
right?
Boxing is not his sport. That would be true. Like me here. Like, let's
but
say,
I feel like he chose that sport. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
But like, let's say that you got concussed during skiing,
right?
Are you gonna go straight back and be like, I'm gonna show you that I'm not gonna get concussed by skiing? Or are you gonna be like, maybe I don't need to do that?
I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. Like,
or maybe that's skiing's like, let's say you had a bad bungee jumping accident.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't touch it. But
yeah. I know. I like his competitive spirit probably gonna tell him that he needs to go back in there. But from like a tactical standpoint, unless he's committing to it and he's like, yeah, this is gonna be something that is gonna be my hobby, and I'm gonna be doing this, and I want to get better, and this is gonna be part of my new craft. Then totally go for it. But if you're just doing that, it's like, yo, I got wrecked. I need to like erase this. Then that's a little bit different to me.
No, I see what you're saying, and you guys are probably right. I just feel bad for him because, you know, for an athlete, I do think it's a little different because he is a professional athlete, and the way we know him, the only way we know him, we never sat down and talked with him.
Yeah.
I don't know his kids. I don't know his entire story, none of that. I just know the teams that he played for, his accomplishments. So he's defined in a lot of ways by his athletic achievement. And I do think, like, okay, another analogy, you're killing it at your job for 15 years, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to try something different in my job. Like, it's different from my normal job, but I'm going to try something different, and you fall on your face. But this was such a bad fall. Like, now that clouds over everything that you've done.
It's literally on his face.
Yeah. Like
basketball bounce.
Yeah. I don't know. His career seems to be defined by this now, and I would hate for that. And I think if he just had a better showing, maybe it wouldn't. But maybe it would go worse.
It could go worse. But like, the thing to me is, like, again, it's like, do you have this L? Does that necessarily need to define it just because that? But it's like, maybe what really happens is what you do after, right? Because like I think that's the reason why like the Antonio Brown stuff was really bad is because it just piled up. I got this L, but then I did some other crazy shit, and now I'm doing another L, and then another L, and then another L, and then it's just like, but like Kobe, like he made a mistake. He didn't linger there and say like, let me correct this. He focused on becoming better, and then he was better. Or like it's just like a bunch of different people that, you know, they have a misstep in their life. They have to move on from that.
So I guess the right answer is he should do whatever in his heart he feels is right to do. If that means never do this again, perfect. If that means double down and commit to this, perfect.
But it comes down to that commitment.
Yeah.
Because if he's 100%. Just like it needs to be non-egocentric. It needs to be like, I want to do this for me, and I want to do this because I'm gonna commit my time to it.
Yeah, that's why I said it has to be in his heart, because like that's what I kind of feel like Mike Tyson's journey is.
Oh yeah,
because this fight. Look, every athlete, every competitor has things that they want to prove to themselves, and you watch his post-fight interview. I watched a little of his like stuff right in the ring, but like I've seen interviews in the last year or two, and every loss hurts for an athlete.
Right. The
big ones especially. This will be, as much as he's done, this will hurt him.
Yeah.
We gotta take that into consideration.
Keep going. Let me check, make sure the thing's still on.
Oh, keep going.
Yeah.
But it's gonna hurt. So as an athlete, the question is, how do you deal with that? And like Mike has talked about his losses, personally, professionally, they hurt him, and you can tell even to this day they hurt him. Sometimes it's about what other people are saying, but as an athlete, especially a high-level athlete, you know when you didn't perform well. So like in Mike's case, his matches with Holyfield especially, his reputation of just being a knockout puncher. Here that he is at 54 years old, and those thoughts never leave your mind. They haunt you. I'm not saying they have to consume you, but like I think about stuff in high school. Man, I should have done that better. I should have. If I had known what I know now, I would have won that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This game would have turned out different. I would have done this. I would have done that. And Mike said he's facing his fears, right? He's facing those things. So all I'm saying is it has to come from the right place.
Right.
But if Nate is able to, or he wants to challenge himself, and it may be in something totally different, it may be in this or whatever the case may be, there's always a chance to face your fears, to right those wrongs, or you can never change them, but to accomplish things and grow that maybe you never thought were possible. I
mean, that's the whole thing that I think Tyson was trying to push through this entire thing is like, whatever I'm afraid to do, I don't want to do, I do it. And that's just that's his resolve that he's just kind of approached everything with. So I think that's where that came from. But I think that's a good segue into the actual fight, because obviously we watched this like kind of circus fight, and then we went straight into a professional
fight. And thank God nobody got hurt.
For real, not too bad at least. Yeah. Maybe some egos, but yeah, when we got to like the real fight that most people were tuning in for, and that was it's like night and day.
Oh, 100%.
Like when they came out, like Tyson came out fucking firing, like firing.
And I was impressed with how Roy came out, and just again kind of tying it into the production. Mm-hmm. After seeing two true amateurs, seeing not only professionals but Hall of Fame greats, even in their 50s, they move different. Their strategy was completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it should be, but when you can see it,
the optics were like just crazy.
It was night and day. Yeah. So like Tyson came out like Tyson. We've seen him training and bobbing and weaving, throwing those punches. But Roy, like right away, you're talking about this defense, boom, turns his shoulder, sticks the jab out. You can't hit him if you wanted to. Like,
Right.
he's not gonna get hit. Like, that's his, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just years of perfecting your craft.
Right.
It was just obvious.
But I think that's where the cage kind of helped out, because you saw that, like, when Tyson got his big things in, it was either out of the clinch, or it was like in the corner.
Right.
And again, with a bigger cage, like, I think Roy could probably
He would have danced even more.
Yeah.
But I like the strategy of it, man, because he knew he was overmatched strength wise. He was still quicker than Tyson.
Yeah.
Technique was really good.
He didn't take many headshots.
Yeah, from my naked eye, I'm not a boxing expert, but he was still moving, and he knew how to maneuver in the clinch. They were super respectful of each other. When the referee told them to separate, they didn't throw any extra punches except like one time, and they were super respectful of each other. To me, this is what sports is about. Again, the age is one thing, so obviously it's not going to be as fast, as furious as 25-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
But two guys who are experts in their craft, that both respect each other, that are competing and entertaining, competing not only physically but mentally with each other and themselves. I just saw a lot of really cool things that I think people can relate to, not only from any age group. You can be inspired. You learn how, look, when we get older, our physical goes down, right? But what you know the game better. We've never seen athletes, maybe except in like golf and maybe a couple other sports, truly compete.
Yeah.
When their bodies aren't in their prime.
Right.
So now it's actually kind of cool, I think, from the athlete's perspective, because you're like, all right, what can I do now? Like, I can't move how like I used to, but like, what can I do? And you see, like, you don't lose everything. Like, hey, Roy knows, like, Tyson didn't lose all that power.
He's taking a punch to the stomach,
bruh.
He was taking punches.
And even in the interview after, it looked like for a second I thought Roy was about to start crying in the post thing. He was like he couldn't breathe, and like
I probably started swelling.
I hope he's all right, but like
I think he's all right.
Man, that's a real fight.
Oh yeah, it was not supposed to be an exhibition. Like that there's no chance that was gonna be an exhibition. Oh, but this is the one thing that I did learn when I was looking at other videos. So because it was an exhibition, they couldn't make a decision. So they couldn't have judges, and they couldn't make a decision if there was one, right? Because the commission owns everything inside the ring. So they got unofficial judges,
right?
And then they walked them outside the cage or outside the ring to say like,
that.
here, it was a draw, right? You notice how they were on the ramp. So apparently,
I didn't know that.
Apparently, the commission owns everything in the ring, but anything you do outside the ring doesn't apply. So they can talk about decisions, they can make, like rewards and all that other stuff. That's not, any boxing implication outside the ring, because then it's outside jurisdiction and all that sort of stuff. So like, whoever promoted this again was very, very savvy in whatever the hell they were doing, because they got around all these rules, still made a good production, and like I was like, wow, that is some freaking hacks. That's dope.
Yeah, they did it right, and they had it planned out, and I'm sure, or I would guess that whoever produced it, like, they had experience doing these type of some sort of events and things like that, because they seem to get it right.
Yeah.
What did you think about the decision or the draw?
I mean, I think it's safe. It's safe.
Who do you think won?
I mean, I think, like, if I was talking about damage and I was thinking about like pressure, I would say I would give it to Tyson.
Yeah, I would give it to Tyson too.
Like, it was cool to see Roy move around, but he was absorbing a lot.
Yeah, he was taking a lot.
He was dancing towards the end, which was dope.
Yeah, but he delivered some shots, and and even Tyson said, like, he got me a couple times. But I think overall, like, Tyson didn't get the kill shot that we expect, which I give Roy a lot of credit for. But I think overall he landed some heavy shots.
Yeah, like, to me,
consistently.
Right, and I think that to me it's I think, percentage in terms of like accuracy plus volume. Tyson won that, and then ring control. Like he was controlling the pace.
Yep. And it looked like, which is weird to say, it looked like Tyson was in better shape.
Dude, like the fact that I thought he was gonna fade after the third.
And he made a point to say that too. Like again, his inner demons. He's like, I've always been known as a 2-3 round fighter. My goal now is to, and clearly he's committed to boxing.
Oh yeah.
Like, which I hope again for his health and safety that he's okay, like that he'll be okay. But again, just challenging himself, right? Like I want to be able to fight 8 rounds, no matter what age I am.
Right. Like he's more about the longevity and all that sort of stuff. But you also mentioned this, that like he found the things that like invigorated his being and his like ability to do this by like picking a coach that like Rafael Cordero is an MMA coach, but he picked that because the energy was different and that motivated him. And I think that's cool to me.
Oh, 100%. And this is maybe this is why one of the reasons why I liked this thing so much is because the motivations were different than the younger Tyson, and he said that too. Like when he was younger, listen, you get into sports and you want the glory and everything that comes with it, and you have a huge ego and you're trying to destroy your opponent and all that. And that's clearly not his motivation anymore. It's about the energy of the people that he's around.
Right.
It's about knowing that he was blessed with this talent and providing entertainment to the world. It's about raising money for charities, not him getting rich. Right. So, like, spiritually, it's coming from a different place. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about aging. Hopefully, you grow, right? Like, you have all this physical prowess and stuff when you're younger. But now you get wisdom.
And that's almost like a good story because you went from this whole thing of like someone who went in for the wrong reasons and underprepared versus someone who was very careful with their preparation and someone who had a different motivation outside of just, I need to knock this guy out. He had motivations around like, making
how I want to fight.
Exactly.
My personal accomplishment or my personal things that I've struggled with. Like what I want to put out there.
Right.
And like, I've heard him talk about this in interviews too, but what is the definition of a champion? What is success to you, right? And of course he wants to win. You could tell he wanted to win.
Yeah.
But I do, and I'm pretty sure everybody would recognize him as a champ. No matter what, it doesn't. When you see a great game, a great fight, right? It doesn't always matter who gets their hand raised at the end. Like we say, okay, we think Tyson won, but more important, the performance.
Yeah, like there's so many times when, like especially with UFC, like guys will put their hearts out, and you're like, yo, that was a fucking amazing fight. Like, right. Yeah, maybe my fighter didn't win, but like, yo, that was an amazing fight. And we see that with football too. Like, we all have our teams and stuff like that, but like, if it's a shootout or like it's a defensive struggle, I'll be like, yo, that was a dope game. And again, right. Maybe my team didn't win, but like, yo, that was a dope game.
Right. Yeah, and I. That to me is the essence of sports, or what makes it so intriguing and entertaining, and what catches you. And they did that, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah. So like again, like he's gonna try to keep doing this Legends only thing. It'll be interesting to see what the next one is. I thought this would be like a one-off, and I'm like, okay, let the freak show happen, and then like whatever. But I think it would be cool to see like if he has more time to train and get deeper into whatever he wants to do, how he evolves. And like what the matchup would be. Like it would be very interesting to see a whole.
Well, I know he wants to fight again, but I think he wants to get other sports and stuff involved. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, like I think he wants say Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders, or Michael Jordan and whoever, Dominique or someone.
LeVar Ball.
LeVar Ball. Yeah. So I think he wants to get other people in it. I think he wants to keep fighting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting for me. Like, I liked it. I don't want Mike to keep fighting. Maybe once more or whatever. But yeah. I think Mike is just so great. People of my age, we grew up with him.
Yeah. And
for the bad and the good, we've seen his life evolve. And like, I want selfishly more of him. Yeah. So I don't want him to get hurt.
That's true.
And things like that.
He has a great redemption story.
he has to do what makes him happy.
True.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I think for like you said, if you did other sports, like that is totally feasible. I don't know how you would do like a Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders thing.
I mean, I don't know because
like one-on-ones.
Yeah, one-on-ones, and is it really interesting to watch them run around on one-on-ones? I don't know. Fighting is like the ultimate.
Yeah.
And fighters have been known to do it at older ages and do it successfully.
Right. But you could do like basketball, people 3-on-3. That'd be interesting. Like, you know how like, what's it, Ice Cube does the big three?
I'm sure you could do something that would be entertaining.
Football would be hard, I feel like.
Yeah, you
get a bunch of like,
you could do something that's entertaining.
11 on 11 old people.
Yeah, you don't want to do tackle football, that's for sure.
Can you imagine those old linemen? Oh, can you imagine the old linemen, dude?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I think boxing was perfect, man.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you do it and make it safe, but however they did it, if it's just this one time, it worked for me.
Right.
And yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I was just really impressed with the whole thing. I expected it to be like a shit show. I kind of expected it to be like, you know, like lukewarm trash, not hot trash, but like lukewarm trash. But it ended up being solid product. I was very impressed.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
But yeah, I think. Do you have anything else to talk about?
No, I think that's it.
All right, so I think that's it for this podcast. We'll probably do other ones in the future. I don't know what the topics will be, but this one just was relevant just because Nate is all over my Twitter right now.
Oh, and you should tell him to check out your the meme that you made.
Oh yeah, I made a meme just because I was bored in the morning. Check it out. It's on my
channel.
Out.
It's dope. It's dope.
Again, Nate, Rob, if you see this, I'm sorry. I love you, man, but like that's how to do it. We all gotta laugh sometime. I'm sorry that it's at your expense, but it'll pass over if you you know, if you know, you just live your life and do whatever you need to do after.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate all the time. Again, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe. Do all the things you normally do on a video that you like and love. And I'll see you shortly. Peace.